A lawyer by profession, but an educationist by passion, Shabil is pioneer in the education sector of UAE and beyond. Shabil holds a master's in HR, sales and marketing, a dual bachelor's in law, and with extensive certifications in NLP. He has authored the book Me and My Loneliness Often Speak, compiled poems, and his efforts and excellence have been acknowledged and awarded at various dignified platforms and forums. Having shouldered responsibilities from legal to business management and to human resource, he brings a wealth of corporate experience which reinforces his skill to impact and connect with the audience. Shabil has above 1 lakh participants across all levels, starting from frontline executives to senior management, and over 1,000 workshops in more than 5 countries and transformed around 54 nationalities. Thank you, Shabil, for being with us today. Once again, welcome all. Shabil, if you can please take over.
Thank you very much for this wonderful introduction. It's my pleasure and privilege to address this august gathering around the world about a topic which is the labor law, and that too from the noble land where I'm sitting now, UAE Labor Law. Being a person who was born and brought up in this country, UAE, I've seen the transition, the transformation of legal aspects in various fields and various spectrum. And every time, the most important question that I often get from the nook and corner of the world, and of course from UAE, is that they ask for three people for a solution or for an answer, but they get four answers from different people with regard to the legal issue. Being said that, jokes apart, let us begin today's talk about the 10 facts. It's not only 10 facts, but today I'm going to be with you only with these 10 facts. I believe you can see my screen now. Yes. So the 10 interesting facts about the UAE labor law. When I say UAE labor law, I'm not only saying it's a labor law as such, whereas we can think about a concept which is governing the complete employment in this country, UAE. And that is the title which I want to give, because to reach people, I believe UAE labor law, but what I'm saying will be something governing the whole human resource management, and that you will understand in the meanwhile. So before going to the concept of UAE labor and law, let's see some questions, which is, can employees work for whoever they want, whenever they want, for whatever job was, for in whatever position, or for salary, or however they want, and most important, quit the job whenever they please? You know better than me what will be the answer for this. Can employees do it? Also, it's again the question for the other side, because normally people, when they call me and ask, I have a question, and they ask an HR question, I turn them back and ask, are you in the shoes of an employee or an employer? Because the advice for employee will be just different to the employer. So the question to you, the employers, are, do you hire workers whoever they wish, you wish, whenever you want, whatever position you want, or salary, or however? And can you fire employees at any time for any reason? Many people will think, yes, it is possible, or many think it is not possible. Now, if it is possible, there are few replications which it follows. Or rather, the answer for the previous question also the same thing. Can we do it? There is something which they say you can, but whether it is illegal, there is repercussions. If it is legal, you need a lot of things to be taken into consideration when you take that action. Otherwise, I'm sure there will be a lot of problem. So labor law training that we often do is we'll be showing a tunnel through which you can just see the issue, and you can say that whether I need to go to the court to get the justice, or should I appoint a lawyer, or I being a defendant, just I need to supply the documents and the evidences in the court. Is that necessary? So these two sides can employees and employers. Now, what leads to law is from these questions I asked, you can see there are limits on firing and certain places even on hiring. That is restriction. Standards for pay or other conditions. And you can see, can you take a person whoever you want by discrimination? So there is anti-discrimination, there is minimum wage or unfair dismissal. So when there is when there is discrimination, and when there is no minimum wage, and when there is unfair dismissals, there are issues which come to the side of the law to protect. So I can say the presence of law is to protect the or monitor the liability that you want to get by any of the deals. So it's very simple. Any law in this present world is for making the performance of that liability which you want to be getting. So if there is no law, I'm sure there is nothing to safeguard the liability which someone has to be paid. That's why. So that is what leads to law. Now here you have common laws, legislations. The public policy of the country can be the common law. There are implied contracts, implied covenant of good faith. This comes under common law. Whereas legislation is no discrimination. Minimum wages of some countries they will be having. So these are the two areas where you can say what is a legislation, what is common law. Here, I'm putting another question to you. A company fires an employee because of unsatisfactory job performance. Is it a good or a bad reason? So the question is, so the dismissal is legal or illegal? Unsatisfactory job performance. You can say if the employer wants to prove that this is an unsatisfactory job performance, they should have valid documents. And each country, each department, that is labor department or the authority, the regulatory affairs system will be having lot of procedures to be followed. If you speak from the side of the UAE's organizations, we always follow, yes, there is warning, there is notice, and you cannot take any action without giving notice. So there are procedures to be followed before you take such an option. So company fires an employee because of unsatisfactory job performance. Is it a good reason? In UAE, we can say it's a good reason because Article 120, which says that an employer can terminate an employee without giving notice and end of service benefits, provided they have proper reasons to prove that the person has been a non-performer. And that can be taken for granted by comparing with the documents and the figures you have with you, so that you can say it was an unsatisfactory performance. Now, the next question to you is, a company fires an employee in order to hire another person to do the same job at a lower wage. The employee's job performance has been satisfactory. Is it a good or a bad reason? Is it illegal or legal? Prima facie, we see this question if from different countries, even from UAE's perspective, this is not a fair reason. It's not a good reason. It's a bad reason. But I have read that in New York, this is a good reason. So, which means that there are few contracts, there are few say system that is agreed in one jurisdiction or one country, or within the country, some areas. For example, here in UAE, there are 7 emirates. Few rules are different in different emirates. So, similarly, in New York City, you can see this is a good reason that you are getting an employee for a lesser salary is a good reason. Now, if you see UAE's perspective, this is not the reason, but if there is uh, a claim from a local to your position, then there is a provision in the labor law which says that you need to wait for that present visa to be finished or the contract. Then you have to take the local who has got the claim, who has given the claim for that position. You can recruit that person. But till date, I'm telling you, since 2007, I'm in this UAE Labor Law training. So I have been meeting the HR managers and employees and employers from various fields in UAE. But till date, I haven't seen any such situation where a foreigner is sitting in a position and a local has got a claim on it, and the same article, I haven't seen any such example till this. Now my point is it a good reason? So my straight way I want to tell you, whenever we see a question, it doesn't mean that it has got specific thing to be done, that I'm going to say why the presence of law. Now, an employee fired for non-participating in illegal billing, just for an example. So it becomes illegal billing, it becomes a part of illegal thing. So legal things are binding only legal aspects. So there is nothing like if anybody has been sacked for not non-performing illegal things, it is also not a fair deal. Now, when we talk about this UAE labor law, laws of UAE, since it is federal government, the UAE, we have got system which says that labor law number 8 of 1980. Okay, so we have laws which is completely with numbers and with years, and labor law which came into existence in 1980. It doesn't mean that before 1980. Before 1980 also the provisions apply, which is written in the preamble in the first articles of this labor law, that this is also applicable for things which is happening prior to 1980, because I can say my dad was working here before that. So labor law came into existence in 1980 doesn't mean that. So it's a common line, and UAE labor law is number 8 of the 1980, and that has got amended at various occasions. Now, when we see the labor law as such, it's a very small book. Book is big, but the content of labor law, I can say it is very small because it has only 12 chapters, 193 articles, 3 schedules, and a lot of ministerial resolutions. And one of the ministerial resolution, which is the latest, which we all are talking about, is Ministerial Resolution 279 of 2020, which came in during the time of COVID, that is 2020. That month only we could see that Ministerial Resolution, with which many HR managers and HR executives were easily we could plan what had to be done with the employees whenever there is a problem such. Okay, that Ministerial Resolution was there. So when we talk about the UAE Labor Law, 12 chapters, 193 articles. Article 1 is completely definitions. You know very well definitions about an employer, employee, what is wage, what is basic wage, all those things. And 193rd article is, this has been given to you on April 20th, 1980 by His Highness Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, the founding father of this country, the former president. He is the 193rd article. So I believe now you have only 191 articles in between. And in 191 articles also, there are few articles for vocational training. There are few articles, one chapter for labor inspection and everything. But overall, we can say it speaks about everything that an employee has to be. That is what the whole UAE labor law. Schedule 1 is about the occupational diseases. Schedule 2 is about the disability, whether the disability is partial or complete, or whether it is permanent or temporary. That if people who knows about insurance claim, that you know that how they calculate the partial, complete, temporary, and permanent disability. So that is the second one. Third one is the death money that has to be given to the employee who died in the due course of the job. So these three schedules, okay, about. But my point is it only required for an perfect or a smart HR manager or an executive to perform such labor law functions in UAE? By reading this, my answer is no. Why? Because, see, I told you the chapters are definitions, general provisions, employment of labor, journals and women, contracts, records, working hours, leaves, labor safety protection, disciplinary rules, termination, compensation of occupational injuries, collective labor dispute, of course, not trade union, but collective labor dispute. That is a different aspect in UAE. Labor inspection, penalties, and concluding provisions. These are the 12 chapters. But I believe these 12 chapters is not only with which you cannot be a perfect, you cannot govern or manage the human resource department. If you want to manage it properly, you need to have, apart from this, a lot of other laws which is also connected with an employment. And that is why I said in the beginning, when even though UAE labor law, but my title which I want to give is laws governing employment in UAE. Now, what are the facts which we want to tell you? The fact one which I want to share today with you is a law aspirant must know something about everything and everything about something. Now, what are those something about everything? We can say the civil procedure code of this country, you should know. Criminal procedure code of this country, I'm talking something from there, not full. Okay? UAE labor law, you need to know everything. Regulatory affairs dealing with the HR, everything. Evidence law, something. Constitution of this country, something. So my point is, a law aspirant in the sense an HR manager, an HR executive, or a law student or an HR student, I will say you are a law aspirant and you should know something about everything and everything about something. But being in HR person's shoes, these are a few things where you need to know something and everything. The fact two, which I want to tell you, is about, you know, the UAE Labor Law book, 193 articles with other amendments, ministerial resolutions, Arabic, everything will be in the same book. Now just imagine me and I have a problem with my employee or vice versa. Why I'm going to court to get justice? Now I will be defending my side, where the opposite party will also come for his justice, and we both are going to the honorable court or the honorable labor department or the concerned free zone authority with the same book. Not only the same book, with the same article. So it's not everyone can read and understand what the law is, but the difficulty is how to interpret it. Interpretation of law is very important, and how you're interpreting that will tell upon how the things will be changing. You might heard about recently, that is soon after COVID, an employee who got a job in a new company. After that, he resigned from the current company where he's working. Now, when he was about to join the new company, the new employer said, "We are in trouble, so we can't take you now." He has already resigned from the old company. That means his present company, he already resigned. Now, in this particular case, the Honorable Labor Court of Dubai decided in favor of this employee who didn't even join the new company, and the the court has asked the new company, to give compensation to this employee who didn't even join. Now, when we go to labor law as such, there is nothing, it is written like there is, uh, I mean, something binding when we give a, uh, I mean, an offer letter, or we are just giving an interview thing, or we have signed the, before signing the contract I'm talking about. Now, this is the way we are interpreting, and we are giving it to the before the court, saying that, see, this is what the point we are mentioning. What are the damages he got? Why, though he resigned from the company and he was thinking about joining the new company. So this is a interpretation that we do. And also there is another one which about this gratuity. You know, gratuity is on based basic salary. But few years before, Honorable Supreme Court of Dubai decided in one particular case to give the gratuity on the base of last received salary. There, the interpretation was the company did the sheer cheating by not increasing the basic salary when he was when the company was increasing the other part of the the full salary. That was the reason. Now we have here the third fact, which is talking about even the least matters in law, but only in law. Now, many employers, especially managers, tell me this problem. I have an employee. He will be giving on Thursday the resignation letter, and Thursday evening, I used to get a mail saying that please don't take it serious. I am just taking it back. So I have a bunch of email of bunch of what I should do. My point to the such HR managers and HR executives are the whatever documents, whatever letters, whatever signed paper or anything which you are getting from the case of an employee, please, one day it may help you. So even the least matters in law, only in law. Whatever you have written, and you might be knowing when you are giving a salary certificate, by just giving a line of that we are just issuing this salary letter with the request of the employee, and we are not abide by anything, or we are not responsible for any such lines, will be clearing your what we say, your responsibility and your liability. And there'll be no point of non-jointer of parties when it comes to the court, especially because of that. So that was my point. Even the least matters in law, only in law. Labor cases are civil in nature. That is fact 4, which means we can say there are two types of cases as per the liability. So there are two liabilities which I told. Law is to make the liability perform. So there are two liabilities, civil and criminal. So civil and criminal, if I want to speak about that will take another hour. So I'm just telling you criminal cases and the civil cases. Now labor cases almost comes under civil in nature, which is as per UAE Labor Law or UAE system. We have on the mainland Labor Department and then Labor Court. If it is free zone authority, then the Labor Court. So all the cases are civil in nature. Now, when when we see the cases which that is civil in nature, what you have to do is it is the documents which speaks for you, which is the evidence. So every documents or every paper, everything, that is evidence for you. And you know very well, these are the things which you have to show whenever necessary, so that you can say you're okay, whether you have done your liability or whether it is a right for you, which will be shown with the such documents. Now the fact 5, civil cases as per the civil procedure code of UAE. Okay, every country has got a certain percentage of the total value of the case has to be paid as court fee, not for lawyers or anything else, but this is a court fee which we have to pay, and in UAE it is 5%. Civil procedure says any cases they have to pay 5% court fee by the plaintiff, by the person who is doing the filing the case. But Article 5 of UAE Labor Law is giving exemption for the employees because they are employees. But this exemption is only for if the total value of the case is less than 100,000 dirhams. If it is more than 100,000 dirhams, court fee applies. And one more support from the UAE legal system is if you have a valid account, that account details of last 3 months, your account details can be given during the time of filing the case, so that this court fee which you have to pay initially while filing the case will be extended, so that it will be taken only in the last, when the case is being adjudicated and the execution, all those happen during that time only the court fee will be, that means the till the last part of the case it will go, that time only we have to pay because of this, if you present the account details to them. Now there is a question, because it happened with one of the case recently, wherein the employee resigned few months before, and he was in India. He wasn't able to come to UAE, but when he came to file the case, again he was not having any entry in the account because no salary for past few months, and no transaction was happening. Rather, there was only a problem of non-payment of his dues. That is what, even then, in that case, when the client gave the account details to, because he filed the case through Adid. So Adid is the channel partner for filing the cases, you might be knowing. So this is a channel partner wherein they just give this details of the account, so that he didn't pay any single penny, though the total claim is beyond 100,000. So he's having no exemption, but he wasn't able to, there was nothing to be paid initially, but he got this relaxation to be done later. Now, fact 6 is talking about being the highest judicial instance in the UAE does not mean that its jurisdiction applies to all 7 emirates. Now, the fact is, Dubai and Ras Al Khaimah have their own local judicial system, in which means that the, if you see the Supreme Courts of various countries, being an Indian Supreme Court is in Delhi, and we have only one. So some other countries are having the highest court is Supreme Court, that will be one, and the Constitutional Court is also will be there. So these are the Constitutional Court and Supreme Court will be there. But in UAE, we can say Dubai has got its own Supreme Court, and Abu Dhabi is also having a Supreme Court. So this is a fact which you want to understand about the judicial system of this country, UAE. Now, when we talk about the judicial system, unlike other countries where we have 5 or 6 levels of court, where in UAE we have only 3. That is the Court of First Instance, Appellate Court, and the Supreme. Okay, so you know Federal Supreme Court, Appellate Court, and Court of First Instance for civil cases, and Court of Cassation, Appeal Court, and the Court of Instance for the criminal offenses, and those. This is the court system of, we have only a 3-layer. And one important thing, as one important aspect of your UAE judicial system is that already I can say it is very fast. And one important aspect is just before the COVID, every single government sector of UAE was given a chance to bring something which is innovative, and also something as a project for initiative for disruption. And KHDA, that is educational system, or police, they have come up with the smart police system. Likewise, the court system also started making it a point that how to solve an issue. That means the total span of a case, right from first complaint till last, everything has to be very fast. So they were doing something for that as well. Now, after the COVID, the post-COVID, nowadays most of the things are happening online, so it will be again faster. And that is one great thing about this country. The things are very fast, and you yourself can see what's happening in the court system, just like what is the position of the case today, what is the proceedings, everything. It's all you can personally get into the system and know about it and do it. Now, fact 8, I can tell you, not only this law will protect you. For example, if it is a country, there are constitutional law, there is statutory law, there is ordinances, and there is case law. Constitutional law, because of the constitution of this country, I am sitting here and talking. We all are here, in people who are inside UAE, we are here, it's a constitution. And again, being an Indian, I'm here because the constitution of our country, because that is the Bible, or the we can say the system which is starting what to be done. Okay, I told you during the COVID time, we had this resolution 279 of 2020, which came so fast. It's because of the constitution of this country. That is the reason which is connecting how we can come up with such. That is the reason why we got a faster law, so that we can enact it in the system. Statutory laws are here, ordinance and administrative laws, which I told you just now. Now, case law. Case law is very important, because I'm not explaining everything. Case law is what you have to do. We have to speak, because many people ask me this question. Okay, when I told you about this gratuity was calculated and given on last received salary in that particular case, next day I was receiving a number of calls asking by the HR manager, even though he is personally happy, is that from here onwards, this day onwards we are going to, it's a change of, no, it's not a change of law, it's only in a particular case. So case law means it's a particular case the court has decided, that is due to the circumstances, due to the evidences, due to the everything, connected it is. Now we will be using that case law in my, if I want to use, I will be taking it as a citation, and I will be using it as a reference before the court, saying that whatever happened in that particular case, that is Supreme Court case 2008 or something, that number is the same thing, or everything, the evidence of the situation, the mode of a case, what's completely the cause of action, everything is the same in my case, so that case applies in my case as well, so that judgment will also be supporting me. That is the citation we are giving. So case laws are very important. I told you gratuity given on the full salary for one employee, as I told in a particular, is a case law decision, and also the other one. So the other example which I explained before is also a case law. Now the fact number 9. Fact number 9, it's pursuant to the new ministerial resolution, companies are now categorized as set out in the class below. A company with a higher category can expect to pay lower fees for work permits issued through the Ministry of Labor. So to make it very simple, you know that here the companies are categorized as class 1, class 2 into A, B, C, D, and 3. Now, on what basis it is classified? Before that, I'm telling you what is the benefit of such classification. If you are in top class, automatically the payment that you want to do will be less. That is a good thing for the employer. But you are in the lower class means the payment will be more from the company side. So on what basis the classification is? With reference to the percentage of nationalities. Now it says specifically, if the 50% of your total employees percentage, if it is more than 50% from 3 countries, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, you will not, mean that should not be there. 50% should not be from these 3. So the aim of the country is to bring more nationalities, diversity, and that is the main purpose of putting it in this way: class 1, 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D, and 3. This is also not labor law connected, but this is connected with recruitment of employees, which will affect the company. That is why this also is a fact which we have to take into consideration when we are recruiting and we are planning the HR. Now, the fact 10, the last one, which I was talking in between. Why I said no more UAE labor law? or rather, I would rather say, but law affecting employee and labor relations. What are the law affecting employee and labor relations? I have listed it for you on the screen. You should know something about the constitution of this country, which is the supreme law of the land. Again, you should you should be seeing the procedure code of civil cases, then criminal procedure code of criminal cases, civil cases. So constitution, CPC, CRPC. Then the topic which we are dealing, labor law, that is law governing employment and employees. Immigration law. So there is confusion which one. I would rather say the second one, immigration law, which is law pertaining to the employees who are coming here to the country. So foreigners entry and residence law is the name of that law of this country, which we have to. Evidence law in support of the evidences. What are evidences before the court? Who are the witnesses? What can be the evidence? Whether WhatsApp, whether Xerox copy, fax message, email, all these can it be come under part of evidence law? What are primary evidence? What are secondary evidence? Photographs, video, audio clips. So all these are things which you have to identify. Because I often used to ask the trainees who come in my class, if you get an employee inflicted with alcohol or drugs in your office, what will be the first thing you will do? What will be the first thing you will be doing? So they used to tell me a lot of answers. So the answer which you're supposed to do, I'm not sharing here because that is something related to evidence law. Now you think, assume what it can be. Many people say that we will give warning, we will inform the manager, we will be counseling him. But before that, you have to do something, and that is to support your stand of a claim that you are charging that this person is inflicted with alcohol or drug during this day, this time. Now, what can substantiate your claim is something which you have to make. Contract law, even though you know very well, UAE Labor Law is the plus there is a contract on which everything is being made. So apart from the labor law, contract law of this country will be supporting what can be a contract, because even before that you have to know when there is a contract to support, because there are some situations where I have seen you have a contract wherein which is limited or unlimited, which you know in UAE there is limited and unlimited in the mainland. Now you have signed a unlimited contract. The employer, he insisted. Why? Because you know very well, if the employer is going with an limited contract, if the employer terminates the employee without a valid reason, there are compensation to be paid. So to get rid of the compensation, to get out of the liability, it is very well safer for unlimited contract, either sides. But after sometimes, the employer is thinking, I want this employee badly in my country, in my company, and I don't want to leave him. But the problem is, I don't want to change the contract because we don't want to give the compensation if we think. So protecting the interest of the company, they want to do something to block the interest or something like that. Now, many companies or many managers have told me, or they have shown me, that they have a separate agreement or a separate contract which says that we have made a lot of things for you or anything like that, and it's been signed between the employer and the employee. Now the question is whether it is valid, whether it is valid contract or void contract. Not labor contract, I'm talking about the second contract. It's a question which has to be answered with the help of contract law. Again, there are so many people who are having problems due to this resolution which came recently. So salary was 10,000. basic was, for just for assume they have mentioned 6,000. Now the salary has been reduced with the mutual consent. Again, the basic has changed, reduced. So now, as per UAE labor law, the basic will be the calculation for gratuity. So the employee is losing. What will be the repercussions? How we have to solve it? An employee who has been not getting the salary deferment since so many years, and he resigned. Now they say that you can only ask for the deferment which is within 1 year. They say like that. Now whether the court will accept such a contention that they have been telling that we will give you later, we will give you later. So there are so many issues which comes under. So I can tell you, if you just check UAE labor law, just UAE labor law, I can simply say you can never get a specific solution other than if you go through the constitutional law, the procedural law of in civil cases. In certain cases of HR, you should know the criminal procedure. It's very simple. When to go to police, when to go to court, where to go, how, why we go to the labor court. These are the procedures. Uh, Labor law, what all things support rights and liabilities have been paid for both rights and your duties. The foreigners entry and residence law, evidence law, contract law. Now there are various other industrial regulations and other things. For example, if you are working for a school in Dubai, it is Ministry of Education, KHDA. Those educational regulations are something you have to go through it. If you are working for a health industry, there are Dubai Health Authority, Dubai Healthcare City, a different free zone, DMCC, another free zone. So free zone, free zones, between authorities. So industrial regulations are also very much, which I didn't mention here because you all will be from different industries. So each industry has got its own regulations and its own laws which you have to apply. So that should also be taken into consideration with this fact 10. And that is the important fact which I want to tell you. And with this, let me tell you about the few ministerial resolutions, which is 279 and 1188 of 88 of 2010. And this is the minister resolution which we were talking about, 279 of 2020, where the article 2 was taken into consideration, implementing remote working system, paid leave, unpaid leave, temporary salary reduction during the referenced period, or permanent salary reduction. So these were the, I mean, in this ministerial resolution, the most important aspect was this article 2, how to implement the remote working system, paid leave, unpaid leave, salary deduction, whether it is temporary or permanent, if permanent, or in either case, what are the steps you have to be taken. So these are the ministerial resolution. Now here, when permanent salary deduction is approved here, what about the change of gratuity is not been mentioned if you are reducing it. So that all our things are, we have to, we have to see, not in this, but we have to take other rules and regulations too. Now 1188, as I told you, this is was many people thought like 279 of 2020 was the resolution which granted permission for an employee to work part-time. No, actually, this is permitted before that. That is this resolution in 2010, which is allowing the 3, 4, and 5, which is talking about eligible part-time work permit, but they have got certain conditions like the person should be above 18 years, and also this part-time job you can take only with the consent of the full-time in the employer where you are working full-time. So all these are some conditions which you have to do, which means that from 2010 part-time job has been approved by the government. And that is all about the facts which I want to share with you today. And as I told, UAE labor law is something which we can talk about, which we can say that it is about, laws governing employment in UAE. And you cannot solve an issue or find a solution or manage or rather govern your department, especially HR, without these all laws governing employment in any country. Now I'm talking about UAE, so UAE. So that fact 10, that last fact which I said, starting from constitution and the whole list, and it will be continued. Those are the areas which you have to be very careful about. Last point, not the least, two things are very important. The law, you need to get updated. Wide open your brain, sharpen your ears, get the informations from all the side. Get somebody who updates this law frequently. Second, the procedures, very important, because it doesn't mean that people who knows law, they may not be well versed in procedures. Procedures are equally important. I'll give you the last example before I leave the platform. Law is allowing a person to file a case. It is his right. There is no need of court fee. Everything is perfect. But a simple procedure can stop you from filing the case. This is what happened few days before when I was waiting in Adid. So you should know Adid is the channel partner to file a case. The court. In UAE now most of the Amar, Tasheel, Tawjeed, like Adid is the channel partner for Dubai court. I mean court. So what happened is few employees are waiting in the queue and they want to fill the form and give to the reception so that they can they can file the case. The issue what happened was everything is there, every document, everything, but only one thing is missing. That is what I said, procedural problem, and that is the Makani number, that is the building number of the employer, because the company had a problem, so he closed the company, present company wherever, but as per the employees he has shifted to somewhere else, and employees are not aware of this fact. So of course there are ways, because of that single thing, that the employees were not having the Makani number in hand, they were not able to file the case that time because it is very much needed. And that is why I said procedures. Not only this, there are so many procedural problems like power of attorney, uh, other procedures, where to file, who will be receiving it, who should file the labor. I mean, a lot of procedures. So my simple thing is that law is something which you have to get updated. Procedures are something also, but you need to have somebody or some source where you update every time this thing, because this will be changing every time. And that is the beauty and that is the challenge. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity and lending your ears and your time to me. I'm obliged because from your life you have given me this hour. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Special mention to the Learners Point who has arranged this session to give awareness about labor law and the legal system of this country. And myself, Shabil Umar, signing off. Thank you very much. Over to the concerned person, Mainak, right?
Thank you, Shabil. Thanks so much for your time and whatever you said. Thank you so much for that.